Hello again, Paul Tobias from Tobias Music. Another episode of fine whiskeys and fine guitars, and I might add fine guitar players, because we are with the legendary Rich Casciato all the way from Iowa to help us demo these guitars. As mentioned in past videos, we're kind of whiskey connoisseurs here, not quite snobs, but
we're working on it.
Yes, we are. A few more of these, I'm going to get pretty snobby. So we have a wide selection in the store, and we like to sample them from time to time. But we also think it's a neat idea to pair some of these whiskeys with the fine guitars from Taylor Guitars. Tonight's bottle, this episode, is a Suntory whiskey. Toki is I hope I'm saying that right, but this is a Japanese whiskey. I will tell you up front, I don't know if you can see it on camera, this bottle's getting a little low.
I was just going to say that.
And that's mainly because we broke it out Super Bowl Sunday. And we host our Super Bowl party right here in our concert room every year. A wild and crazy time. But this was the whiskey of choice for
And who
Super
won
Bowl
the Super Bowl this year?
I know that team from the Philadelphia was in it.
I think so. And the other team was from all the way on the other coast, wasn't it? If I'm not a 49er.
I will tell you that field goal at the end, and I know that hurt the Philadelphia fans. It scored big for me on my sheets.
Oh, okay.
So I had even though we hosted a wicked party, dropped a few bucks. Actually, for our concert room here, we purchased a new TV because we're always shuffling TVs. So I spent a few bucks on that party, but that field goal at the end took care of everything and then some.
Well, as a guy that was born and raised in Philadelphia.
We feel for you, Rich.
Yeah.
I think we were texting during that game a little bit.
We were.
Was a pretty good game.
It was a good game.
And especially because we had the Suntory whiskey. So yes. I don't think people realize that Japanese can make some crazy good whiskeys. This company's been around since 1923, I believe. So that's how long the Japanese have been producing whiskey. And it has a lot to do with water quality. We know whiskeys and bourbons are very popular in Kentucky. And one of the reasons they are because all whiskeys start with water. Okay, you have to have a quality water source to start the process. In Kentucky, there's a lot of sandstone down there in the ground, but that helps filter the water. So I bet you didn't know this.
Well,
I'm full of all sorts of stuff like this.
Well, we know you're full of something.
Yeah.
However, what's interesting,
That's
as you're
my
talking
wife.
about the water, where you start from, in Philadelphia, pizza dough and bread dough is totally different because of the water.
Water quality.
That's
Interesting.
right. And that's why pizza and breads taste totally different. You can have the same recipe, and there's the siren.
Do you hear that?
Do you hear that?
They're coming to get you.
They're coming to get me.
Busted.
They finally found,
They tracked your license plate number to Downers Grove.
Yes, my license plate is Money Pit.
But
anyway,
again, in Kentucky
water,
very high quality water, which is the base for the high quality whiskeys and bourbons. So in Japan, they also have something similar. I don't know that much about it, but in the areas where they do distill the whiskeys, and actually I saw some scotches from Japan. I don't know if they're allowed to call them scotch because I thought a scotch is from Scotland. But just something I read on the internet, so I'm assuming it's true.
Somebody should put it in the comments. But
this one is silky smooth, and I think that's one of the reasons the bottle went down so far Super Bowl Sunday. It's got a nice sweet taste, a little hint of spice at the end. But if you're kicking back at home, watching a football game, Cubs will be playing pretty soon. I'm excited about watching the Cubs. This is a good sipping whiskey for a sports event.
And I noticed that the color of that whiskey is very much like the antique blonde finish on the guitar that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so this one we are pairing with the 818e 818E,
Mm-hmm.
the Grand Orchestra,
Right.
Taylor's biggest body,
Correct.
V-class bracing. That is a powerful guitar. And I do agree with you. This Japanese whiskey is a very blonde-looking, very clear-looking whiskey. And I think it matches really well
with that
with
finish right there.
818 has the antique blonde top.
Mm-hmm.
So just a little bit of a tint on the top, almost a halo.
It's just kind of like bringing out the richness of the spruce top.
Just so cool.
Elevating, and along with the rosewood pickguard. And what a lot of people don't know is this binding here, this is actually a maple binding. And we specifically look for a white maple that's non-figured, because we want to use it as just we want the real wood, we want the maple, but we don't necessarily want all the figure to go along with it.
Yeah, and the rock maple, which is very consistent looking, it just makes for a consistent looking guitar.
Absolutely.
And as a regular lineup guitar, you don't want too many visual changes where it might confuse people on the internet, because everybody's looking at guitars on the internet.
Right.
So I think the rock maple helps each guitar, each picture you look at, whether it's online or in the store, they're all going to look very similar. So I like that idea.
And one of the other cool things about this one, most people that know a lot about Taylor guitars will know that the 800 series normally has the element inlay. But this one, on this particular guitar, we chose the Mission inlays.
And I think that was the perfect choice for that. A little bigger, a little bolder, and it's a big, bold guitar.
Yeah.
That thing's a tank.
This Grand Orchestra guitar, you already said it. It is punchy, but it is still clear, and it records amazingly well.
Yeah, hopefully that'll pick up when we do when you do the demos on that. Just a low end rumble, but it's not a muddy rumble.
No, it's clear. And that's what's so important, because I know that a lot of people, have a lot of thoughts of how a guitar should sound. And it's like, wow, listen to that. That's just such a big, boomy low end. And it's like, well, that's cool and that's great, but try to put a microphone in front of that.
Sure.
And what's going to end up happening is that if you have a good sound engineer, they're just going to take that low end and they're going to suck it right out. So if you really listen to some classic recordings with a good discriminating ear, and if you have a good set of speakers, Dynaco 825s or old Advents, these guitars are crystal clear in the low end. They're not fully boomy, and they cut through a mix real well. So if you like a big-bodied guitar that has that full, let's use the thrust of that total sound, it's still usable. And that's what's important, because if it sounds great acoustically, but then you're going to try to mic it, and you have to suck it all out, well, let's get the whole picture.
And I think too, that's where ES2 comes into play too.
Right.
If you're recording,
Yep.
plug and play, and the ES2 replicates or gives you the natural sound of that guitar.
Yep.
You're hearing the guitar and not the pickups. So.
And and if you are doing recording, let's say you're doing home recording, but you like the sound of a big box guitar, there's nothing better than using 2 channels and running, or 3, running 2 microphones and the ES2.
Yeah, orchestra hall there. That big body, a big, and gotta watch my words here. The cavity in there's a lot of volume to the body, not volume tone, but volume space when you have a guitar that big. Still comfortable to play.
Right.
But it has some serious boom to it.
Yeah.
But a balanced boom.
Yeah, and you if you look at the whole picture, and we talk about this a lot, especially with Taylor guitars, the way that Andy and Bob have put all of this together is that the combination of the V-class bracing, what you said, the volume of the inside of that guitar, the way the bridge transfers the energy to the top, it's all And we use this word synergy a lot, but it's those some of those parts that makes the guitar sound so full, so strong, but so usable. You know, it's like a fine piano.
Exactly. Yeah, it's everything you would want out of a guitar.
Yep. You would never think that a guitar of this size you would use fingerstyle. Now, I wouldn't buy it if I'm only a fingerstyle player. But you can play fingerstyle parts on this guitar, and it translates. You know, and
Well, and I think with the, of course, B-class bracing
yeah.
is leading you down that path too.
Mm-hmm.
Big guitars don't have to be, well, of course, with the B-class bracing, a big body doesn't have to be a big strumming guitar where you're going to just fill the auditorium with tone.
Right.
It handles, it works well. It handles fingerstyle very well.
You know, if one size guitar did everything perfectly, you wouldn't need all the other sizes. So there's reasons, you know, that these exist, not just to add to your collection, but there's reasons that all of these exist. We have talked about, if we haven't already talked about it in videos, we will be when we do grand concerts, and how some people would think, well, the grand concert, that can't have a good low end. Well, it has an incredible low end.
Sure.
Because of the size of the guitar. It pops that. And then this guitar is just so full, you know, so each size has its thing going.
So 818E.
818E.
Grand Orchestra, Taylor's largest body guitar.
Right.
Solid Indian rosewood, back and sides.
Right.
Sitka spruce top. Antique blonde finish on the top, just to give it a little accent.
Yep, and a beautiful, and you know, just some really nice appointments that don't detract, like this headstock inlay. It's just the right touch.
Yeah.
Right. And we already said that the Mission inlays were absolutely perfect for this size of guitar, because it really brings out, you know, you have a larger inlay for a larger guitar, and and then the maple picture frames and silhouettes the body. So not only does it look great, but the sound is amazing.
And also the ones that we get in have that beautifully figured ebony fingerboard, which they seem to be highlighting on that guitar. Figured ebony, streaked ebony, smoky ebony. Folks, whether they like it or not, that stuff's here to stay. That's the only way we're going to keep ebony available for not just Taylor, for all guitar builders, is we have to start using that.
Only
it's not
10%,
a defect.
Only 8 to 10% of ebony is black.
Yeah. It's not a defect. It's real ebony.
It's real ebony.
And
it's the way it looks.
What we have seen, it's been widely accepted in the Taylor lineup.
You see it in other companies now too.
Oh, it's happening. Now I'll admit, with the figured ebony, the first one you saw was like, ooh, what is that?
Yeah.
And
is this defective?
Yeah. It's the same density.
Yeah.
It's the same wood. It transfers the vibrations the same. It's durable. It doesn't wear out, which people don't realize with the amount of work you're doing with your left hand. If there was a softwood on there, you would get divots. I mean, you see a guitar from the 1920s where in that first position, there's little divots in the fingerboard because somebody played the heck out of that. Yeah. You play that guitar for another 80 years and you might see some divots.
Well, what a lot of people don't know about ebony and why ebony is so great to use in fingerboards is because of its density, it holds the frets better. Okay, so, and just like Paul was saying, you know, this is going through a lot of work up here. You know, you're putting a lot of pressure on the neck and you're putting a lot of pressure on the fret. So, you know, you have this piece of wood, you make a slice, you know, with let's just say a saw blade, and then this fret gets hammered in there, and you don't want it rocking. It's got to stay, you know, perfectly tight, and ebony does that amazingly well.
So I think everybody has accepted the figured ebony now in fingerboards to the point where now everybody thinks it's cool.
Yeah, I look for it.
And with a lot of customs that we build through our store, whether it's customer orders or for our store stock, on the custom sheets, there's that little box to check if you want the special ebony package. And I would say 95% of the customs we build, and especially through
Mhm.
for our customers, they want that streaked ebony on there. It's a nice highlight for the guitar, but it's also kind of your guitar's fingerprint. No other guitar is going to look like that one out there.
Right.
So if you still got some time, I can kick back and try to finish this one. Oh, it's getting a little late, but maybe you do some demos for us.
Sure.
We'd love to hear that thing in action.
Be happy to.
Thanks so much for coming out.
You know, for you folks that watch these videos of the demos, I just want you to understand, I do know more than 3 songs. But it's really important that I try to do the same sort of a take so you can compare the different guitars. Yeah.
I would assume most Hall of Famers know more than just 3 songs.
No, we only know 8.
And 8, and
because that's a set.
And you need 4 chords and 8 songs.
And you can play anywhere and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these days, I hope I can make a lot of money. But I'm rich at heart because
there you go.
We have fine whiskeys next door. Thanks so much for coming out. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching.
Stay tuned. Rich will do some demos for you. Feel free to get a hold of us. Leave some comments. Again, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channel, our website. There's a ton of ways to get through to us. We'd be happy to answer any questions. And we'll also be happy to sell a few guitars maybe too, huh?
Help you buy one.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
There you go.
So thanks again, Rich. Let's see what you got with that one.
Sounds fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.